everyone, it's your homegirl, Jenny Leigh with VRA Realty. Welcome to another episode of Good to Know in Chester County, your inside scoop on local businesses that make Chester County feel like home. Today, I am reintroducing Jason Fallon, who's made an exciting move back to his Chester County roots as branch manager with Vanguard Lending, alongside President and Loan Officer Jason Stevenson, who's welcomed him to the team. Hey, guys. Thanks for coming on today.
Hey, Jenny.
So, first question, this Jason over here, what made you really make the decision to come on board with Vanguard Lending?
Well, I had met Jason prior, about a year before, through Steve, who is the broker of record and the owner of VRA. And I really was impressed with what he had done leading up to coming on board with VRA a year ago as the in-house lender. And I knew it was kind of a matter of time before something was going to happen. I just felt like where my career, the trajectory that I was heading here, I wanted to be involved with more on the investor side. And you know, Steve's group here, VRA, of course, you're one of the great agents here. Everyone likes to not only buy and sell and help clients buy and sell, but a lot of people also are involved in investing personally, which kind of just changes the dynamic of the culture of an office like this. So it was really intriguing. You know, I bought and sold a bunch of properties in the last 20 years, and I thought that I just felt it felt like it was something that I was very comfortable in this culture here. And I felt like I could help their clients through our mortgage products and offerings to kind of add something here.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't agree more, knowing and working with you for a while now, you fit the culture. And you've been here for 2 months, 3 months
it's
now.
It's actually going on 3 months.
3 months. So I would say it's already showing great fit.
We're already besties. Same name. Yeah. Makes it easy.
I know, Jason and Jason. But I think that there's a lot of agents here that are excited to have you. And Jason Stevenson, why don't you tell us a little bit about you, how long you've been in the business, and what brought you here?
Okay. I started off right when I got out of college. Okay. I have been a loan officer as my first official real job besides coming from my family roofing business back in, I think, 2005. So this would be my 20th year.
Congrats.
And then, I started off like a lot of people do, like working for a big lender, call center stuff, answering the phones. And then in 2017, I decided to come out on my own. But like fast forward, when I decided to start my own company, I had all my own ideas. I was going to do everything my way. It was going to be the best way.
Of course.
And, through a lot of trial and error, I figured out how to do things better. But I didn't really realize until maybe a few years ago that my success, first of all, it's much more fulfilling and I have much more success if I started to surround myself with other people that were at least like-minded or could complement the things that I do really well at. Because I've learned that there is only things that I can do so well, and then there's other things I need to do to be successful. And there's certain things I'm really good at. I think I can quote, I think Nick Sirianni said this today. Like, if you want to be great, you have to surround yourself with greatness. So when I met Seymour a couple years ago, and we finally had a sit down after I handled some loans for his agents, and they said, hey, you got to sit down with Jason Stevenson. So we sat down, and our first conversation was I was not prepared at all for the things that he was going to ask me. Yeah. And it was all around like character and culture. And right then, after that initial conversation, we aligned on so many different things. But what I saw in him was the ability to make myself a better person and a better business owner. Yeah. So right away, the whole, I don't want to sound too, selfish with the statement, but I knew right away if I could align myself with someone like that I would have much more opportunity to achieve the goals that I wanted. So that's basically how I came in.
That's so cool. I love hearing that. And with you sharing this and hearing something that the other Jason shares quite often, it makes me feel like this is just a perfect match. So you always say, surround yourself with the 5 people, or
you are the average of the 5 people you hang out with the most.
Yeah.
Right.
So it really makes you think.
I think I need to step it up, though, to get that average up, probably. I really do.
So it's been 3 months. You guys are liking it. When Jason came in to kind of check it out, what were your thoughts when you guys met?
I believe we met maybe we probably spoke about a year ago for the first time when he was with his last company. And I knew right away when I spoke to him that he had that part of the sales culture that I didn't have. And that was basically, the relationship side, which is like, I'm only for certain people, if that makes sense.
Sure.
So maintaining relationships for me becomes difficult because I get so busy. It's like the entrepreneur's worst thing, being busy all the time.
Yeah.
But the things that he enjoys and does the best at are the things that I don't enjoy as much, that I'm not the best at.
Yeah.
So right away I'm like, I can think, this is someone I want to work with. We can both grow.
Yeah.
I mean, we're turning our model into an ownership model where loan officers can be part of that. And I'm like, I want to be working with someone who I think I can improve and it can improve me.
Yeah.
So it's like 1 + 1 = 3. So that's the first thing I thought.
Love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what were your first thoughts when you met Jason? I'm just kind of curious. I love that it's like a really nice balance. So I'm curious to see what your thoughts were when you were being interviewed and drilled.
Tell her about our first date.
I actually
kind of feels like those.
I actually think he's being way too modest. Jason's a great guy. He beneath the very thin veneer of being a business owner, he very much is still in the trenches and understands the trials and tribulations that loan officers and even agents face. I think he's a much better networker than he gives himself credit for. But at the same time, he's definitely really, really good at the things that I'm not great at, and we very much, as he mentioned, complement each other. And it was very noticeable in the very, very beginning when we first started collaborating. So I'm just super excited about that.
Yeah. Well, I can see it, and obviously I love it because now I have all my people under one roof. So Jason, your previous company was fabulous, and when I had you on here before, we talked about their culture, and that was, I think you're a great agent. I love how you work with my buyers, but there was a little piece of it too that you don't always hear people talk about, how great a company is. So I know that must have been a little tough to leave, but the way I look at it is, I think I mentioned in the last episode that our cultures were similar, your previous lending company and VRA Realty. So I think that, it was probably a little bit easier, stepping into something that the values are so true. They're genuine. And, I think one of the bigger things too is you've got a home base now where you're seeing faces every day. So what else could you add to that?
Yeah. With my last company here, I can't say enough about that culture. And it really opened my eyes to what was possible and what culture should look like. And I really feel like on a much smaller scale here, because this is a much, much smaller company versus a multi-billion-dollar lending company like Movement Mortgage, Jason and Steve and you all have established a wonderful kind of a very tight-knit family type culture here. It really, really is very collaborative, and I love the trainings. I love everything that this group puts together, and I'm really happy to add my little spice to it all.
And growing up here too, I feel like our culture really represents Chester County itself very well. Chester County, I've had a ton of people on here already, and it keeps coming back to that, almost that small town feel. People support each other. They want to support local business. And I feel like that's how our brokerage, lending, and title group is. We have our great meetings every Friday. We try to get together when we can outside of office hours. But the support is so different. It's so different in a fabulous way. I always say I'm a lifer now, but it is really true. You don't see some of the things that we do here at other brokerages and probably other mortgage companies too.
I think what it comes down to, and it's what I realized when I stepped in, was that when you work at a company, the whole core value thing and your principles, a lot of times it's just like a list they put out there and they don't necessarily live by it. And I hate to go back to talk about the Eagles again, but I feel like that, what Nick Sirianni has brought into the Philadelphia Eagles is, how important their culture is and they
Yeah.
base everything off that, and it really does change your mindset. It's tough in sales to keep a good mindset
yeah.
all the time,
Yeah.
because when you're not feeling good or you're beaten down or things aren't going your way, it's so easy to take a step back and then just wait for good things to happen. But if you keep your eyes on, the things that are important, the things that will really fulfill you, like the core values, and I would love to talk about those, but we need another time, because I'm still thinking about them all the time, like
Yeah.
how to broadcast them. It's just that you can use these things, and they're very simple ideas, where it really helps you continue to work on yourself. Because we as salespeople, if we don't work on ourselves all the time, like
Exactly.
personal development, then it's like you just go on the roller coaster.
Yeah.
I'm doing good, then I'm doing bad, then I'm doing good, then I'm doing bad. But if you stay consistent with those core values and the personal development, usually your trajectory is pretty, it's pretty
Right.
linear.
And just to add to that, if you're surrounded by those people and you have those reminders, it's a lot easier. Don't
It
you
helps
think?
a ton.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. We are
That's exactly
surrounded
right.
by a great group of people here.
Well, if you think about it, this business is so virtual. Everyone can just work at
Yeah.
home. And that's probably the hardest thing I think that most brokerages and lenders are facing now, is how to instill those values in the fact that everybody is off on an island.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we just have to, you just have to focus on that all the time,
Yeah.
to keep it going.
And I think, Jason, you were sharing, that was one of the most exciting things for you, is to be back in an office again with more faces.
Yeah, being on an island working from home just wasn't for me.
Yeah.
And it took me a couple of years to really
Yeah.
understand thoroughly what that meant. But once I made that realization, then I knew that change was a necessity.
Yeah. Yeah. So you shared a little bit about the things that you guys offer here, and you invest personally. So I think that was already a natural fit for you. I want listeners to know how much you guys really do offer. We have a whole other side, hyper focused on investing. And I think that that's unique in itself too within our brokerage. But what you guys do is you bring so much value to that as well. You have so many options, and I think people don't realize how many options are out there. So I am thrilled to now have you here, and just you guys can share everything with my buyers that didn't think of certain things. So do you guys want to dabble in that a little bit and share?
Yeah, I'll start, and I'll start with some of the basics. Obviously, as a brokerage here, most of the agents, the main bread and butter here is ultimately working with clients on buying and selling.
Yeah.
So we offer the main suite of products that everyone would want: the conventional loans, the FHA, the USDA, the VA. We offer non-QM loans like bank statement programs, depleted assets, other alternative ways, what we call alt-doc or non-QM products here. I'll let Jason touch on some of the other things that we do. But it really, like I said, it kind of gets into the whole, we can dabble on the commercial side, we can dabble on multiple different kinds of investor side products and offerings. So
Real quick, can I, just for listeners here, can you explain non-QM?
Right. So non-QM products I'll use as an example, someone who is self-employed who writes off a lot of their income. So they might make $100,000, but after their tax deductions, they're only showing maybe $30,000 of income, which is very, very common in the business world.
Yep.
So those people, even though they're living at that level of $100,000 earner, they're only showing $30,000 Uncle Sam. So that's what we can use for their debt ratio.
Right.
That's not going to work in a lot of cases.
Right.
But because their business shows maybe a lot of cash flow, we have bank statement programs which will help them alternatively verify income.
Yeah.
And there's other ways of doing that as
Yeah.
well. So if they have a large portfolio of assets, we could use some of those assets to qualify. There's just a lot of ways that we can be creative and make these work.
Yeah, I just really wanted listeners to hear that, because I'm hoping a business owner does hear this, and maybe they have been wanting to buy a house for a couple years now, and they're just, reaching out to a lender that just does your traditional types of loans and doesn't offer that.
Yep.
That was huge for me. I just seem to somehow end up with a lot of buyers in that category, and once learning that from you, I was just oh, this is amazing. You've made a lot of my buyers really happy.
Yeah, a lot of people, the first place they go is their little bank, and
Yeah.
it could be a little community bank. And community banks have a very, very small portfolio of products that
Yeah.
they can utilize. And if they were told no, they might extrapolate that out to every bank and every lender, and they don't understand that there's a lot of niches within the lending industry that would accommodate their needs. They got that one turn down, and they took that as an indictment against them ever being able to borrow, and that's
Right.
the furthest thing from the truth.
Yeah. And that was one of the biggest things I was really excited to share today. If even just one person hears this, that you've got a lot more options.
Yep,
So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
I think the thing that we actually do best in regards to those options is the fact that when you get a list or an email from a lender and they say, oh, here's our non-QM products, we do these 4 things or whatever they are. What people don't understand is there are literally dozens or sometimes hundreds of iterations of those things. So what we specialize in is solving the problem of the business owner. So if a business owner goes to a lender and they want to do, I call them cash flow programs, analyze their cash flow. Well, certain underwriters are going to have a problem with a couple slow months. Certain underwriters will take 3 months. Certain underwriters want to see a certain amount of history. So what we do is we find the wholesale investor who we broker through. We find the person who wants to lend them the money. So that's what I enjoy the most, because almost not everybody can get a mortgage. There are things that prevent you from getting a mortgage.
Sure.
But if you have the ability and, with your business, or you have got good cash flow, or you've got good credit or good assets, there is someone out there. There are literally thousands of places. And what we specialize in is having the network of where to take people to those places.
Yeah.
And if we don't have it, we can literally, I can message 1,000 people in a private forum, say, I've got this scenario, where do I go with it? And boom, my inbox is flooded. It's like usually people are so worried about, like, how do I qualify, or investors are always worried. They're not making offers because they worry about getting the money. It's find the deal. Finding the financing is actually the easiest part.
Yeah. Which is probably, I would say 90% of people are thinking the opposite.
Yeah, they're like, I got to save so much money. And that's true. I mean, you do need money generally to buy real estate. Not everybody is, sometimes you find deals you don't need money. But, getting it done is finding the right people to go to that can solve your problem is the biggest difficulty that buyers face.
Biggest hurdle. Yeah. And now you're here. Thank you. I wasn't kidding. Jason, you've made a lot of my buyers really happy. And with you guys join now, I've learned a little bit more. I've been so excited about just hearing this. I mean, and I'm excited to share this. So what would you say right now for buyers listening? What would be some great advice?
Don't wait.
He literally beat me to the punch. Don't wait. Right now, rates are on a decided downturn. Hopefully that holds. I think we're seeing market forces at play that are going to indicate to the powers that be at the federal level that lower interest rates are in everyone's best interests.
Yeah.
And that's going to create opportunities to refinance existing mortgages for people that have purchased in the last few years. But also, too, it's going to expand the buying power of people who are looking or are sitting on the fence waiting to look.
Yeah.
And then ultimately, it will now decrease the monthly outlay for someone who is looking. So a $300,000 house with rates being 0.5% lower than where they were just a month ago, you're talking about saving yourself upwards of $250 to $300 a month on that same exact loan size.
Yeah.
So that's pretty powerful stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't agree more with the don't wait. And, for the last probably 2 years, I do have some buyers that have been looking that long. And listen, the right house comes along, it'll all work out. But I do have a few that are kicking themselves because where we live in Chester County, it's people love living here. It's a wealthy area. So, 2 years ago when some of my buyers were like, their interest rates just really got high, I'm going to just wait. Okay, no problem. I'll check in with them. Fast forward to now, they're kicking themselves because what's happened is, the inventory is it's still low. And what's happening with them is the only thing that's changed in the last 2 years is the purchase price
It's more expensive.
has gone up.
Yeah.
So if you really lay it out and look at it, they could have had 2 years of equity. Regardless, and back to what you were saying, it's just once the interest rate drops, you refinance. So where we are specifically, I would say Chester County, I couldn't agree more. Don't wait.
Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing all these market statistics that are saying the inventory is really high. I just like question where. I mean, I understand like Florida is, a lot of people are selling houses
Yeah.
down there, but around here, I mean, if you're going to buy in southeastern PA, I mean, there's no bad time. The only bad time is to sell, because if you sell, it would have been worth more money if you waited. So it's like that. What's that saying? That there's never a bad time to buy a house, only to sell.
Yeah.
So I mean, get in. You got to rip the Band-Aid off. I mean, I sometimes I hate to be direct because I just want to be a counselor and let people make a decision. But waiting only costs you. Like, think about all the reasons why you buy a house. I mean,
Sure.
I understand it's an investment and you can look at it that way, but when buying a home, I'm thinking about like how many bedrooms, is the yard bigger? I mean, I think about it all the time, even for where I live. I'm like, well, it'd be nicer to have, I got a big house on a small property, but is it worth buying a smaller house on a bigger property because I want more room to throw the ball at my kid?
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many things that go into that, and you know what? Time is very valuable. And the longer we wait, the less of it we have.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, I'm thinking about making this investment. If it fits into your finances and you want to buy the house, you got to just get it over with.
Yeah.
It's time to be happy.
Yeah.
Because before you know, I mean, think about it. Every year that we live just goes by faster and faster.
Yeah.
So if there's something you really want that you know is going to make you happy, you've got to pull the trigger, get moving.
Yeah, and all of us being pretty experienced now with buyers, it's I think some of the things that are really scary to some first-time home buyers, especially, that they might not realize, like, the houses are expensive.
They are.
Oh my goodness! But what if something happens? And sometimes with some of my buyers, it's pretty funny, and I just say, well, isn't that what homeowners insurance is for? And they're like, oh yeah, anything really huge is going to be covered. And then just going back to people renting versus buying, it might not be their exact home, forever home, but once you make that first step, you have so many options. You're building equity, so you could wait and keep renting for 2 more years, right? And we have already learned the pattern in Chester County that the list price is just going to go higher. But you're just, where's that money going?
True.
To the landlord.
You're paying your landlord's mortgage.
Yeah. It's so, I try and help people understand that is the building of the equity. Like, look, you've got homeowners insurance to cover really big, scary things. You can get a home warranty to maybe help cover some other minor things.
And disability insurance, which would cover your mortgage in case of a catastrophic injury or something like that.
Yeah.
So, it's true.
You can get a Home Depot credit card, if you have to put in new flooring. I don't know. But those are very normal thoughts for people. But I do like to bring it back and remind them that, you are protected in a lot of ways. It is scary. But, if that's what's stopping you and you are still renting, what is that going to do? I mean, you take that 2 years, you've got equity. Okay, maybe it wasn't your dream home, but guess what? Now the value of the house has gone up, and you even have equity. You could do a couple things with it, right? What could they do with their equity?
You could sell the house, use the equity to buy a bigger house or
Yeah.
another property, or you could take out a home equity line of credit and utilize that equity towards other investments.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things you can use. You can cash out refinance on the equity that you have, depending on where your interest rate is. So, as rates come down, more options are becoming available, becoming more observable here, particularly that refinance option here, especially if you bought in the last 3 years. So it's really, really an exciting time right now to be involved in mortgages and real estate in general.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm pretty happy.
Yeah.
I like it. Okay. So don't wait, right? What else? Is there anything else you think that some buyers would really like to hear or should hear right now?
Well, just to piggyback on one thing is that, from an investment standpoint here, we're seeing more investors than ever, and there's a reason why, because investing in real estate is the number one way to become a millionaire. Yeah. I mean, that is the number one way of opening up your own business, basically formulating an LLC to buy rental properties. Not that you have to do that to buy rental properties, but then all of a sudden a bunch of tax write-offs become available to you because you're technically a business owner. Yeah. And then obviously buying real estate and then having your tenants potentially paying your mortgage. This is how you can build your own little nest egg or your own little empire. chase that dream you've always had about maybe a short house or maybe, whatever it is that you're looking to do. I mean, real estate is a very, very effective way of achieving that goal.
Yeah. Investor activity is way up, especially over the past 2 years. What I've noticed is that as buyers tend to sit on the fence and take a step back, like first-time buyers, the investors are just moving in. And the access to all the data and the ability to, when people are like, looking for houses that need to be fixed up and doing skip tracing, all these other activities to find people who want to sell.
Yeah.
That is, I mean, for a while, I think maybe not necessarily this year, but maybe a lot in like 2023 when people were really like, oh, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Rates went up and house prices are high. I don't know, maybe even close to 50% of the people I'm working with were just investors.
Wow.
I mean, because there's all those different strategies. Some people want to buy for cash flow, but some people will buy just for appreciation.
Yeah.
Like my money is sitting in the stock market, but what if I buy this house and I have a tenant that will pay down the debt, and then also have appreciation? So for a while, people were just trying to break even. Like if I can get my money into this house, if I can break even, I can have my tenant pay the debt down, and I can have the market increase the value of my home.
Yeah.
And then they can pull money out later in the future tax-free because you don't pay taxes on debt.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great, a future investment I always look at. I've said it since I was probably, 17. Like, my investment's going to be my retirement. I mean, I think too, because where we live, I think it's pretty easy to see that that's very possible. I know that there's people out there listening or just everywhere, just still a little hesitant on that side too, right? You got to take that first step. And, you hear nightmare stories of tenants and things like that. But, your brain kind of has that tendency to focus on the scary, the negative. It's really not all that bad. Steve does a great job of sharing, how well he's done and how there's ways to do it. But, yeah, I think I am seeing it a lot more. I am seeing a lot more people giving that a shot. Giving the opportunity of investing, which is really exciting.
Back to what you had said, what would we tell buyers? What I would say is it's easier to buy than you think because there's got to be, I don't know, dozens of first-time buyer programs. We have some available. We really haven't talked much about them in Chester County over the past couple of years because it's been so competitive.
Yeah.
But there's literally 100% financing. There are programs available, and a lot of them are income driven or how much assets you have. There's grants. There's 1% down programs. Then there's like regular 3%. I mean, there's the ability to get into a home, especially now rates are getting a little bit better, so the payments aren't as bad.
Yeah.
Is not that difficult.
Yeah.
The key is to find, how do I find the program and how do I can find the people that can put you in it, which is where we come in, obviously.
Right. Yes.
But it's a little bit overcomplicated. And then everybody wants to go on the internet and look up stuff, and then what they're going to be finding is just other lenders. They're going to find stuff out there from other mortgage companies. But there is a lot of really good things out there, and if people just do a little bit of digging, they'll find out that it's a lot easier to get into their first home than what it's made out to be.
Yeah, or just pick up the phone.
That's true.
And call Jason or Jen. Like, it's really not.
Team J.
Yeah.
Right?
Triple J.
It's really not as scary as some people think. And my clients, I think almost every single one of my clients hear this come out of my mouth. It's worth a shot.
Yeah.
Right. Depending on if we're putting an offer in and it's maybe below asking, whatever it is, it's worth a shot, right? What do you have to lose if you talk to a lender?
Here's one thing that I see a lot. It is that people will be like, I've been thinking about buying a house. I don't know if I can get approved. So I just want to look into it. And so usually during the first conversation, what I'll say is, we're going to put together numbers for you, either buy now or we're going to put together the game plan for you so that you're going to be able to work towards buying in the future. But I would say, as long as the market's too crazy, it happened to you this weekend. Someone will be like, I don't know if I can buy a house. Let me see. And then they get approved, and all of a sudden they're like, wait, I can do this? I only need this much money. These are my payments. And then they find a house 2 days later. In the beginning of the conversation, they were like, we're going to buy, after the school next year. We're going to buy in the spring. And all of a sudden they can get what they want.
Yeah.
it's worth just investigating. It's always that fear
Yes.
of I'm going to get declined or I'm not going to get the loan. But you're talking to people who privacy is so important in our business. Information is never shared among anyone. You go to a professional and either you can get it now or we're going to tell you exactly what you need to do to get it in the future.
Right.
That is exactly what I say. Jason and I touched on that in that last episode is the fear of failure. Some people hesitate. Well, there's nothing to fail here. It's either, oh, wow, it's a pleasant surprise and I'm approved for a mortgage, or it's just clarity on how to prepare for the future. So when Jason and I, we talked the last time, I said it is so funny that, to me anyway, that people reach out to an agent first. Really, they should be reaching out to the lenders, right? People see a house online, shiny object, right? They get excited, they call an agent, and I really want to see this house, blah, 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 and not really having a full understanding of where they stand. Maybe they could afford more. Maybe it's less. So, with my clients, I have a couple right now, a few buyers that I'm just praising them left and right. They aren't buying for, 6 months to a year, and they're already working with Jason. You're talking about, okay, looking at your credit score, X, Y, and Z. If you tweaked this now, it's gonna make a difference when you're ready to buy. That whole preparation, I tell buyers all the time, start talking to a lender, a year, 6 months in advance, because you feel more in control.
Yeah.
Once you have that clarity, you feel more in control. Then you call an agent. You know what you're looking at. You're not going to be heartbroken when you look at a house that you can't afford, or you're not going to be kicking yourself when you look at a house and you go for it and you realize I could have I'm comfortable with something way more than this. So clarity is key, and you have nothing to lose.
Yeah, setting expectations up front, even doing it with yourself. Having one conversation with someone like myself or Jason could help illuminate quite a bit. Like, if you're not going to buy for a year, but you're going to be doom scrolling like everyone does and casually surfing Zillow or Redfin, why not be looking in the right price point?
Exactly.
So a 15-minute phone call can not only help you make sure that the three areas that we look at universally as lenders, credit, income, and assets, make sure that those are all in line. And if not, what should you be working on in the next 6 to 12 months, as well as, okay, based on where we think you're going to be, this is the price point you should be looking in. That way, when you're looking, you're getting a better sense of what neighborhoods you want to be in. Exactly. You're getting a better sense of what bang for your buck you can get. You're going to make a better decision overall. So the old adage, and I've said this dozens of times, is those who fail to plan to fail. Exactly. So by speaking with us well before you're actually ready to pull the trigger, and listen, I don't mind talking to people that want to pull the trigger right away.
Sure.
Right? That's fine. But the ones that are sitting on the fence here, make use of that time while you're on the fence and make sure that you are lining up your ducks and make sure they're in a row so that when you're ready to pull the trigger, you are a more informed and better consumer.
Well said. Yeah, I think, if you're ready to pull the trigger, you've got a great group right here that'll work hard, work fast for you. But yeah, just pointing that out. If you're thinking about it, there's really nothing to lose.
Nothing.
And I will say, you see a difference in those people. I see it all the time. Once I have, new buyers and, we're talking and they're not pre-approved yet, but we're, talking, figuring everything out. Total game changer once they've had the conversation with you guys, because then they're clear, they know what they want or where they're at, and then it gets real serious, and then move forward. I know we could talk for probably 10 more hours, but I do think that you shared some really, really good things for first-time home buyers, investors, what's going on right now in our area. I truly love that you're with us now, Jason, and how many things you guys have to offer to so many different people. Is there anything else that you could think that would be really important to share for buyers right now?
That's a tough question. There are
there's
so much information that we could share. I would recommend that they find a trusted resource that they can ask questions to. Just be careful of people out there who are like super salesy, always trying to sell you something. because in this business, it's our job to tell, not sell, and give you information that you need in order to make your own decision. So it's always a good time to buy, of course, and it's always good to know what your options are.
Yeah.
Because everyone is planning. Everybody's spent, what I find, and I do it myself too, is I'm preparing and planning and preparing and planning on something, and then I don't do it.
Yeah.
And then I look back and say, well, I should have done it a long time ago. I would say that to a lot of people, first-time buyers, business owners specifically. The thing that we find the most, and this is kind of going off topic here, would be that successful business owners usually have a very close relationship with their bank. But when they go into the bank's residential lending options are so strict, they're told, oh, your business makes so much money, there's all this cash flow, but we don't have a loan for you. So if I were to reach out to anybody, it would be like business owners. There's so many opportunities out there, based on how good your business is, where you can buy houses and the rates and the products are great.
Yeah. Do you have anything else, Jason?
I think you pretty much hit the nail on the head here.
Yeah.
You have nothing to lose here than to start putting together a plan for yourself if you're not ready to buy, even if it's 3 years down the road here.
Yeah.
Just at least start educating yourself on what is possible,
Yeah.
right? And then that will help hone in your plan and it'll help you formulate a plan better for what your future is, especially the first-time buyers.
Yeah. And I love that what you just shared is you're in the business to tell, not sell. I think that just shows who you guys are. You've had clients for years, right? I've had clients for years. We're willing to just, you see the important side of it, right? You're not just going to say, well, I can get you this real quick. You're going to pay 15% interest. You're sharing that you're here to listen and help them figure out what's best fit for them.
Yeah, I just had a client on the phone this morning. I said, listen, you're always going to be in control of the timing of everything here.
Yeah.
I'll work as quickly as you need me to work, or I'll be as patient as you need me to be here.
Yeah.
So, we're not trying to sell anything. We're just trying to educate and let them know what their options are. And better than anyone else when the time is right for you to purchase.
Wow.
We just want to make sure you understand what the ramifications are about waiting and what the ramifications are about moving ahead sooner than later,
So I'm really starting to see, like, you guys have similar insight, but you balance each other in ways where the other could use it. I really see it here. It's a great combination. I'm so glad to have you here, Jason. I'm glad, you've been here for how long?
A little over a year.
Yeah. So
No, a year and a half, actually.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Oh, nice. So thanks, guys, for coming. If anybody wants to reach out to you, what would be the easiest way?
My cell or on social media, message me, email me, give me a buzz, or shoot me a text.
Okay. So Jason Fallon, just... jfallon@vglendingteam.com. I'm assuming you'll probably have my contact information and below. Yeah.
Click below or whatever. So
Yep.
I prefer carrier pigeon or Morse code. So now same thing, just phone number, email anyway.
Yeah.
I hate to say it these days, but text messages is always great because our emails are just a mess.
Yeah.
But our information will be, I'm sure, in the in below, and just any way that you are comfortable, we will communicate with you.
Awesome. Thanks so much for coming on, guys.
thanks for having us.